Conflict. What do you think of when you hear that word? For most of us, it has a negative connotation. When we think of people who are having a conflict, we think of anger, maybe even fighting, if people can't agree on a particular idea. This may be among individuals or possibly among different groups because of different needs or wants or ideas. But conflict isn't always necessarily a bad thing, and there's a lot of different types of conflict. One kind of conflict is when you have conflict within a person, and we call this intrapersonal conflict. We often say a person is conflicted if they're kind of maybe debating two different ideas or ways of doing something within themselves. There's also conflict between people, and we've experienced this as well. And this is where we might have a disagreement with a friend or a family member, perhaps someone at work. This is considered interpersonal conflict rather than intrapersonal conflict because it's between two people rather than within one person. A third type of conflict is when you have a group of people that might have conflict internally. This can happen sometimes at work or with a class or even within a country. An intrapersonal or intragroup, conflict might result in a civil war, for example, where even though you're on the same side, you can't quite agree. And then there's kind of that traditional image of conflict between groups. This is a classic example of what we sometimes see with military conflicts, and this is intergroup rather than intragroup, meaning within two separate groups, you might see conflict. And so traditionally when we think about conflict, we think about it as a bad thing. But a lot of growth and good things can also happen from the resolution of conflict. Simply defined, conflict really just means when two or more people want different things. And when this happens, and when conflict can be resolved constructively, people can actually, this can lead to new ideas and new perspectives, new way of thinking, new ways of living, and new ideas in general. So we're going to be talking a lot about conflict, but particularly conflict resolution this week. So keep in mind these four different types of conflict and be willing to